అవును సార్.
స్టూడెంట్స్ జాయిన్ అవుతున్నారు. 2 minutes వెయిట్ చేయండి అమ్మా, అయిపోతుంది.
ఓకే సార్.
స్టార్ట్ చేద్దామా?
చేసేద్దాం సార్. చంద్రిక,
మ్యామ్. ఎస్ మ్యామ్.
స్టార్ట్ చేసామని చెప్పండి.
ఎస్ మ్యామ్. ఓకే మ్యామ్.
కీర్తి
అక్క స్టార్ట్ చేయి.
A very good morning to everyone. I am D. Kirti of 2/4 ECE, a student of Sir CRT College of Engineering from the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering. I am extremely overjoyed to welcome you all on this webinar of Women Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Honorable Chief Guest Ms. Vanitha Datla garu, Vice Chairperson and Managing Director of Elico Healthcare Services. Dr. G. Sambasivaravu garu, Principal of Sir CRT College of Engineering, our beloved HOD sir, the correspondent of Sir CRT College of our beloved HOD sir, Dr. T. Venkateshwar Rao garu, Senior IEEE member of Student Branch Group. 3. Jasti Mallikarjun Naidu garu, the correspondent of Sir CRT College of Engineering. And I also welcome R. Satish garu, Assistant Professor of Sir CRT College of Engineering, and N. Lavanya Madam, Faculty Advisor of IEEE Women Engineering, Student Branch Affinity. All our esteemed staff members and my dear friends, I welcome you all to this webinar on innovation and women entrepreneurship. Women have been the ones who are doing work so much behind the scenes and are never credited for it. Our grandmothers, mothers, sisters play such an important and integral role in our lives. but they are not even credited, but are looked very low. No one even values them. Valuing them by empowering and making them innovative and paying heed to their voices are very important. This can be only done by putting them in positions of power where they get to make decisions. Only then we will see the real change and there will be growth of our country. Now I call upon Danyashri of 2x4 ECE, the webmaster of Women in Engineering, to share achievements on innovation of our college.
Very pleasant morning to one and all. This is you, Danyasri of 2x4 ECE. I am here to share the achievements on innovation ideas of our college. As our college gives a lot of importance to the innovation. Here are the register patents which describes the importance of innovation ideas in our college. The first title of the innovation, multimode real-time data transmission system for aquaculture water monitoring, and its publication date is 6th November 2020. The names of the inventors are Dr. T. Venkateshwar Rao Garu, Dr. G. Samasingara Garu, K. Niranji Garu, V. Ranjit Kumar Garu. The second title of the innovation, portable and wearable alerting and the disease preventing device, and its publication date is 13th November 2020. And the names of the inventors are A. Vamsi Krishna, Dr. T. Venkateshwar Rao Garu, K. Niranji Garu, S. Gopichan, P. Chandrika, and G. Kiran Kumar. The third title of the innovation, system and the method for monitoring insulating oil quality in transformers, and its publication date is 14th March 2020. And the names of the inventors are K. Niranji Garu, Dr. T. Venkateshwar Rao Garu, Dr. N. Bhupesh Kumar Garu, and V. Ranjit Kumar Garu. The fourth title of the innovation, wearable personal monitoring and emergency response devices, and its publication date is 23rd April 2021. And the names of the inventors are T. Vinit Kumar, A. Vamsi Krishna, K. Niranji Garu, T. Lily Joy, R. Chakri Lakshman Rao, Allu Vamsi Krishna Garu, P. Chandrika, V. Triveni, Dr. T. Venkateshwar Rao Garu, Sheikh Anuzma. And here are some design patents, such as the title of the design innovation, Corona Disinfector, and the second title of the design innovation is Boat Rescue. These are all sponsored by our college for the sake of the students. So thank you for giving this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, Danya. Now I request N. Lavanya Madam, Faculty Advisor of Women in Engineering, B, to speak a few words.
Thank you, Kirti. Respected Mrs. Vanitha Datla Garu, Vice Chairperson and Managing Director of Elico Health Care Services Limited, our HOD and IEEE Student Branch Counselor, Dr. T. Venkateshwar Garu, my dear colleagues and student members, a very good morning to all. As we know, many gaps remains between male and female in areas such as education, employment, and entrepreneurship. Even such several developments made in gender equality. Empowering women and granting them equal rights in areas such as entrepreneurship and innovation has also positive effects on other development outcomes. Women entrepreneurship is a growing field around the world. It is on the agenda of most international development agencies and multilateral organizations, and is a focus of many foundation and civil society organizations. Okay, today we have Vanitha ma'am here to enlighten us on innovation and women entrepreneurship. Thank you, ma'am. for accepting our invitation, and we are very happy to have you here. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Over to Kirti.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request our beloved HOD sir, Dr. T. Venkateshwar Rao Garu, Professor and Senior IEEE member of Sir CRT College of Engineering, Student Branch Affinity Group, Counselor, to give us valuable guidance.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, madam, and welcome to the IEEE WIE branch, Vanitha Datla garu. Madam, it's very honor to me. It is very rare opportunity for my students, and such a wonderful. We saw your this one. Thank you, madam. Thank you very much. So my students are doing well, and they started this program, this group, WIE group recently, and even in this pandemic, to encourage them in this situation to continue their learning and to encourage the students. Thank you very much, madam. Actually, our students, ECE branch students, are interestingly started this program, this WIE group. They started this with the help of our student faculty coordinator, Dr. Satish, and from his idea, Lavanya come forward, and she started this petition, and finally, with the support of management, we started this. So already these Chandrika and some other students are doing well in this R&D group. So to encourage them and to enlighten them and to share their ideas to the in a bigger level, they come forward to join in IEEE group, IEEE students members. Even though it is somewhat expensive, these students come forward, and now they started to conduct programs. And finally, very thank you, madam, to accept our invitation. And one more thing is the women empowerment. Yes, they are speaking all the countries, not only in India, all over countries, they are speaking this much, this about this. But in our India, we are maybe at half of the way. Even though our national leaders, stalwarts are there, Bharat Ratna they got, and Kokila, and also Indira Gandhi. So many iron ladies are there in our political scenario. However, we are maybe in the midway, not yet. So many countries like Sweden, and they initiated so many schemes and encouragements, even the sanctioning paternity leave like that. So, however, I think the corporate leadership definitely gives some of the gender imbalance. We observing that some of the major companies giving the opportunity these particular gender equality, and also the work fairly work and respect with the team and non-discriminations. So these values should be known by the students at this age. Definitely, some of the students, Lily Joy and Chandrika, so they are doing very well. They are competing with the students who are equally with the members. And also our central government and state government, when they are starting some of the programs, hackathons like that, they insisting the one student, girl student should be there in the team. So this is also very encouraging. So we insisting the students to come and join in the these teams. So this is also one of the prime point. So similarly, to promote education and training and professional development for women. So these are all we are doing, but the students, they must come forward. So that is very, very important. So in this scenario, if some of the resource persons like you and the proven persons like you, if they motivate them, it is very, very useful for them, and even one student benefited, this program will be very fruitful. Thank you, madam, and thank you the team, Chandrika and your team, Lavanya. I am congratulating you, and I will eagerly waiting. Some of the students are still there in the line to join in this program. Thank you, and over to Chandrika.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now I request P. Chandrika of 4x4 ECE and the Chair of Women in Engineering to take the opportunity for the introduction of our chief guest.
Good morning, everyone. I am P. Chandrika of 4x4 ECE department and the Chair of Women in Engineering. Women in Engineering. I am extremely overwhelmed to get this opportunity to address you all on this auspicious day. Women are the future of tomorrow. All the students we witness today receiving honors for their talents will grow up to the responsible citizens of tomorrow. May they grow up to make us proud and achieve the highest human values. Our chief guest here doesn't require an introduction, as she is a well-recognized at Elico Limited. She is known for her wonderful administration and high achievements of the institution she is in charge of. Apart from this, she is very passionate about women empowerment and contributing positively to women issues. Besides from her professional career, she has key networking skills which helped her to be elected in industry associations. She also served on various panels in CII at state level. A pioneer in analytical instruments industry, Elico's expertise in innovating to connect science with lab. Over 60 years has enabled market leadership in the domains of electrochemistry, chromatography, and spectroscopy, and the Vice Chairperson Managing Director of Elico Limited. Madam is the Treasurer of WIN, Women in Networking, an NGO that works closely with children and women of urban slums. She has awarded a silver medal for standing second in her graduating PCDBA, the post-graduation diploma in business analytics, class at ICFAI, the Institute of Chartered Financial Analysis of India. She also secured a place on the Dean's Honor Roll for achieving a perfect of 4 GPA for 3 years consecutive semesters while pursuing her undergraduate study at the Wichita State University in USA. Madam was awarded by HI9 Hyderabad as a Superwoman of the Decade 2010 to 2020, and also as the Women of Excellence Award by the Institute of Public Enterprise Hyderabad, and also as the Exceptional Leaders of Excellence awarded by Women Economic Forum Bengaluru, and also Mahila Ratna awarded by Sri Kala Sudha Telugu Association, Chennai, and Pride of AP awarded by Siva Swachananda Seva Samta, Undi, West Godavari. I feel proud to a part of this elite institution where we are taught by such a great teaching goes beyond the classroom. We are really thankful for taking the time out of our busy schedule to attend the webinar today, motivate and cherish the young minds present among us. We are very fortunate to have you, ma'am. Have you here, ma'am. Thank you so much. Over to Kirti.
Thank you, Chandrika. Let me take the privilege of inviting Ms. Vanitha Datla, Madam Garu, to share her experience and guide us on women innovation and entrepreneurship.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for inviting me to your program. I would like to call out at least Chandrika, who reached out to me on LinkedIn. That was very nice of you, Chandrika, to reach out. And thank you, Lavanya Madam, for sending the email. And thank you, Venkat Garu, for giving me an opportunity to come to your institution and interact with the youngsters, who I truly believe are going to be the face of the nation tomorrow. And the success of the nation tomorrow will lead or will depend a lot on your shoulders, especially the women that are there in this group today. And while I do give a presentation, most of the men or the boys that are present here might think, I'm veering too much towards the women's side. But what I would like to bring to your notice is tomorrow your life also will be comfortable if the women in your lives also are equal partners. I know my generation and the generation before me, we did not give that equality to women, and always men were one above us. But let us hope that in the coming years, especially you youngsters, will show that solidarity amongst yourself and that equality, and allow everybody with merit to move forward and shine in their careers. So I'd like to now just make a small presentation because Venkat Garu, you mentioned in your speech, also Lavanya Madam, you mentioned in your speech, and Chandrika Ma'am, they also mentioned about the inequality that women face. So I would like to show certain statistics that might be surprising to many of you here. So I will just share my presentation and I will go through the presentation. I hope this is visible to everybody.
Yeah, ma'am, it's visible.
Yeah, okay. So again, I would like to once again put on record my thanks and my honor to address this elite group of the IEEE batch and the women in engineering especially. I think yesterday Lavanya or Chandrika, I think, messaged me saying, Madam, are you a member of IEEE and all that? So one thing I want to mention is I'm not an engineer. I'm only an arts, a Bachelor of Arts with major in economics, political science, and public administration. If I had my way, I would have been a doctor today, maybe, leading some COVID, being a COVID warrior, but unfortunately, I think my destiny had something else in mind. So I did not get into the merit rankings of the medical entrance those days. And I did not have anybody to guide me to do something in science, though I was very good in the biological sciences. Nobody told me, go do a BSc. You could probably do genetics, or you could do microbiology and or biotechnology. But so I did not know, and just because a few friends were joining BA, I went and joined BA. So what I would like to share with you is, though I'm not from the technical background, though I'm not a science graduate or an engineering graduate, I know what IEEE is all about, because when I got married, my husband is an engineer. We moved to the United States, and there he became a member of IEEE. And I used to accompany him when they used to do out of college programs, especially when they used to do industry visits. And I was very interested to go along with him. And it was free for anybody to join those IEEE factory visits. Also, after coming back to India, my family also runs a lot of educational institutions, and I know about the Women in Engineering uh, Association also. And I know that a lot of women engineering colleges have asked their students to become members and create women in engineering chapters within their own college. The reason is, when you start getting involved in these programs, you then start developing a shared passion for innovation, for technology, for bettering what is available today, to make it much more easier and simpler for you to have a quality of life. So of course, and also women in entrepreneurship is also very important for everybody, because that will definitely help the nation to move forward. So today I want to show you what is the Indian scenario. The Indian scenario, as all of us know, is not very great. And if you look at this particular slide where I'm showing the amount or the percentage of female entrepreneurs, the Indian country shows a very small percentage of women entrepreneurs. Basically just 2.6% of our working age population are women. Whereas if you look at other countries like say Panama or Angola, they have almost 30 to almost 50, beyond 50% also of their women are entrepreneurs. Now, this particular statistics are also showing the different types of entrepreneurs. Is it a necessity-driven entrepreneurship or is it a innovation-driven entrepreneurship? And if you look at the statistics, you look at all the developed nations, they dominate in the innovation-driven entrepreneurship because they are comfortable enough and therefore they can allocate more time towards innovation. And then those entrepreneurs are born out of those innovative ideas. Whereas in those underdeveloped countries, like even if you take Angola or if you take Egypt and of course India, here because we don't have a choice and we are struggling to make livelihoods, we then get into that type of an entrepreneurship. So still pretty bad situation that we have with only a 2.6% of entrepreneurship. Now, I also want to show the other side of the picture where if you are not an entrepreneur and you go on to become a professional in the industry, still the pipeline narrows down drastically. I know all of you today are young engineers and all of you are looking for very good jobs. But what happens 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the line? 5 years, maybe, most of you will get married, majority of you will get married, and that's where the first drop off happens. 10 years hence, most of you will start having children, and that's where the next drop off happens. And 15 years hence, what happens is you are not able to balance your work and your family life, and then a lot more women drop off. So as a result, if you look at, say, another 20 years hence, very, very few students that are present today in this Women in Engineering will be there in the workplace because you are not able to handle the work and the life balance. And this is where the boys also need to understand that they also have a responsibility in ensuring that their spouses, their sisters and all of them continue in their career. And I'll tell you why this is very necessary and important. So just last year, there was a study done by this EMA partners that looked at the top 250 companies and the CEOs. As you can see in those bar graphs, it was hardly 6 or less than 10 were women CEOs. The rest of them are men CEOs. And even among those 5 or 6 women that are there, most of them come from the promoter family. So that means in a family business, you have a better opportunity to come to own your company as a CEO rather than you work as a professional. So what is happening to all these engineers, especially the women engineers who are actually graduating year on year on year, right from the time that I was studying, I remember there were engineering colleges and women were always extremely good academically and they were graduating out of most of the colleges. Now I want to just show you another index here because today the topic is also about innovation. What is the innovation index of the world? And they do rank all the countries out of the innovations that they bring out to the society. And if you look into this list, we are nowhere on this list. South Korea tops with almost 90% of being innovative, followed by Singapore, Switzerland, Germany, Sweden, Denmark. Most of these are very advanced nations. But where do you think India is? So India is still at a very, very bottom level, and we are actually having a 50th rank. May I ask somebody who's unmuted themselves to mute themselves? There's a lot of background noise. Thank you. Now this other statistics that I show here is another index that they do rank on the global gender equality. And the Global Gender Equality Index has actually ranked 156 countries. And very, very sadly, last year, we had slipped to the 140th rank. That means, what does it mean? It means that there are 139 countries above us who have better gender equality opportunities for all the genders in their country. We used to be at the 108th position, then we slipped to the 115th position, then to the 121st position, and today we are at the 140th position. And this is because the COVID pandemic has also impacted, especially women. And this really, really is pretty sad. Now, the Global Gender Gap Report that is prepared by the United Nations has actually said that gender parity will not be attained for another 100 years. In fact, in a country like India, it's going to take another 135 years. What does that mean for all of us? That means, of course, in my generation, it is out of impossible. Your generation also will not see it. Your children's generation also may not see it. In fact, maybe your great-grandchildren might, if they are lucky enough, see gender parity. Does that mean that we have to continue in this life always being subordinate to the men, always not having equal opportunities, not being able to do as we wish, especially when it comes to career and it comes to society? How difficult is it always to live as a subordinate member? I'm sure most of you will understand that no, you have the passion to do something, but you have circumstances that are not allowing you to get to that level. I don't know how many of you understand what the sustainable developmental goals are that the United Nations have created, because they, as a global body, the UN also tries to look at and tries to guide, especially policies in countries that are still showing inequalities everywhere. So they felt that no, by the end of this millennium, that at least most of the countries should not have poverty, should have zero hunger, should have good health and education for their citizens. And if you look at number 5, gender equality is a major thing that most of the countries are looking for. But yet, I don't think countries are looking at how they can improve that, because policy making is just still very, very poor. Now, I want to bring about another comparison. If you look at the chart on my left side, you can see the world economy. And the world economy today is dominated by the United States. It is at number 1 rank. It is almost right now, I think this is almost 1 or 2 years back data. Yeah, 2019 data, which was at $21 trillion. Today, it is almost at a 22 or a $23 trillion. But if you look at India, India is very, very minor. Today, we are at maybe the 7th or the 8th position. We have slipped over the last 2 years, especially because of the COVID pandemic. And we are just at around 2.9 trillion dollars, which shows we are very minuscule. You all might think, yes, United States is a very advanced nation, and no, therefore it is quite expected that that country has a huge economy, whereas we are still an underdeveloped nation, and therefore it is okay. But if you look at the graph on the right-hand side, which are countries by population, here it shows that China and India are the first and second, are in this first and second position. Basically, these are the most populous nations in the world. If you look at United States is again very minuscule here. And here, if you look at India, all of us know that we have 1.3 billion people, or 130 crores. Whereas United States has only about 330 million or so. So that's basically about 30 crore people. So in comparison, this 30 crore people have created a huge economy of almost $22 trillion, whereas our huge population of 1.3 or 130 crore have created a very, very tiny economy of just less than $2.9 trillion. What does this mean? This means that a huge chunk of our population is actually not contributing to the economy. They are not economic participants. While you can remove the aged people, you can remove the tiny, the youngsters who are not come into economic activity as yet. But the working age population is not contributing to the economy. Out of this working age population, almost it is dominated by women like us, because we are educated and yet we are not becoming economic participants to the nation. And unless you become an economic participant to the nation, unless you start a career, you start earning money, you set up an industry, you start earning revenues, only then does the country's GDP increase. Another set of statistics here shows that over the decades, how India has become the most populous. And I think there is a prediction that in 21st century, India will become the most populous nation in the world. But on the other hand, are we going to be the biggest economy? I don't think so, because still a huge portion of our population will not be adding any value to the economy. And therefore, we will not be in a position to come to the top. Still, maybe countries like China and the US will lead the economies. They will dominate the global economy. Now, I wanted to ask you all a question. I know this may not be a very interactive webinar, but still, this is some food for thought. While I said that the 130 crores population that our country has is not directly impacting the economy, they are not participating in the economy. Yet, that 130 crore population requires all the infrastructure that the country gives. We need airports, we need roads, we need railways, we need electricity, we need education, we need healthcare, we need all the social entertainment. This infrastructure is to be used by all the 130 crore population. But yet, a very tiny minuscule of that population only contributes to building up of this infrastructure. The rest of them are becoming a burden onto the society. We don't realize that because nobody tells us this while growing up. See, especially women, nobody actually guides us to and tells us that, yes, I remember when I was studying, my parents would always say, study, study, get good marks. But after that, what? Nobody told me, study so that you could get a good job, study so that you can grow in your career. Nobody told that sort of an advice to women in my generation. Things might have changed today. Yet, is that impact visible in society? It is still not visible. Let me show you an example. I just wanted to bring to your notice about what generational changes are. If you look at the first column, it is the silent generation, because basically women were pretty much invisible in that generation. I think even Chandrika and Lavanya also spoke about it, saying that no, mothers, grandmothers, they did not really play too much of a role. And they were always not given equal opportunity as maybe your fathers and grandfathers. After that came the baby boomers generation, which maybe had a little bit more advancement, and then the Gen X generation, and Gen X is from where I come from, and most of you may be maybe your faculty might be in the millennial, or your seniors might be in the millennials generation, but currently the Gen Z generation is going on. So how is your thought process moving on? How is it that you're looking at the world? How are you approaching problems? Today you're talking about innovations. How are you looking at the day-to-day problems all around us and innovating to bring about a better solution to that problem and to be able to get a better quality of life? So as I was saying that a lot of women in our country, this 130 crore population that I was talking, almost 50% is women. And if you remove the very young population who are still studying and the older population who have retired, the working age population, among them, the women have actually declined over the past few years. If you look at this chart shows that while all other nations are improving their women participation in the workforce, India has drastically dropped over the last 2 decades. Right from 2000, it has been dropping drastically. It doesn't mean that we are not equipped with education. We are actually, if you look at all the colleges, whether it is engineering, whether it is life sciences, whether it is medicine, pharma, law, almost 50% of the students are women. Women today are graduating. They are actually very, very academically bright, yet they are not sustaining in the workplace and they are falling down. And the percentage has come down drastically, especially in the last 1 year because of COVID. What happens when women study and yet they don't work and they don't contribute to the nation? It means that we are investing in an asset. And all of you know that investing in an asset means that you would like some return to happen in the future. But for generations, for decades, we have been investing in our women. We have been allowing them to study. We have been giving them the access to best education. Yet their thought processes and their merit is not being transferred into the workplace. As a result, there is a masculization of the workforce. Today, there is a study that says 3 out of 4 women of working age are not employed, nor are they seeking employment. And this shows that no, tomorrow, this educated women force becomes a burden onto society because they are not adding to the GDP of the nation. And by not adding to the GDP of a nation, you are not able to improve the infrastructure of your country. And then we start cribbing. We always crib, roads are bad. We don't have enough hospitals today. We don't have enough doctors to treat COVID patients. We don't have enough opportunities to do anything. No, we don't have electricity in the rural areas. Drinking water is horrible in most places. We only crib, but are we doing something to add value and bring a better infrastructure? Sadly not. So how do we come out of this mess? And that is where maybe an entrepreneur is born. We talk about women entrepreneurship. Earlier, I remember in my generation, an entrepreneur was the last option if one did not get a job. Mostly graduates looked for government jobs because they knew that once you're in government, you're set for life, whether you work or you don't work, whether you add value or you don't value, you get your salary and you're set for life, which I think has actually led to the very, very sad performance from the government sector. The next set of people would go for private sector opportunities. It is only people who didn't get all these opportunities became entrepreneurs. And therefore, entrepreneurship was not looked at with so much of respect. But of late, that has totally changed, especially with the startup culture, especially with young generation of innovators who are doing and coming out with excellent ideas and changing the entire environment and the quality of life. They are able to bring so much of value. And of course, then they again cannot go to the next step. And so they sell out to the best investors and they make millions and billions and they earn the respect of society. But ultimately, are they able to add value to the actual citizens around them? Are they able to bring a better quality of life is what you will all have to understand. So yes, I know all of you are on the cusp of graduating your college and you might think that no, your entire life is ahead of you and you might have made a plan. But understand that the plan always differs from reality. And reality is that no, you face a lot of obstacles, lot of hurdles until you finally, and if you are still passionate enough and you are still determined enough to continue, then you will definitely find success. And that is what I would like to wish for all of you. What type of a mindset should one have if they want to become an entrepreneur? Just doing something will not get you to become an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur's mindset is totally different. It has to be a growth mindset. And I think most of you might have understood what a fixed mindset and what a growth mindset means. I mean, we look at challenges as opportunities. We still persist in the face of setbacks. We also acknowledge our weaknesses. We think outside of the box and we are not threatened by other people's success. We do not give up easily. These are the attributes of a growth mindset, which most of you will have to imbibe at this stage itself. Because once you understand and you open your mind to being more challenging and to be accepting of growth, it becomes all the more easier for you when you start into your career, either as a professional or as an entrepreneur. Now, why do we want women entrepreneurs? Definitely, yes, they would create a positive impact. But what else do you think would be good? Today, we are a huge population base. And if you look at all the colleges that are churning out students just like you, do you think that the society has those sort of opportunities to take in all the people that are getting graduated? We do not have that much percentage of job availability today. And that's the reason why you see high unemployment levels in society. And that's where an entrepreneur is necessary. Instead of being a job seeker, I think most of you should become job creators. Most of you, especially in this engineering domain, have tons of wonderful ideas. Why don't you be passionate enough to ensure that you take that idea and then start becoming an entrepreneur and ensure that now you bring more value to society? Of course, the regular things like women entrepreneurs bring extremely good source of economic growth. They contribute to the economic well-being of your own family. Definitely, there is a reduction in poverty, and of course, it empowers you so much, and it brings a different perspective to business. And why do you think women? Because see, I know as women, most of us come from conservative families. And the moment we put up this idea and we tell that, no, I want to become an entrepreneur and we would like to start up this, our family will be the first to demotivate us. They will say, no, you're a lady, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. No, they put these boundaries. But women actually make better entrepreneurs because we have a lot of intuition. There is a lot of pain tolerance for us. We multitask. We have a lot of perseverance and patience. We actually are much better than men when it comes to empathy and listening skills. Of course, emotional intelligence is definitely much higher. We are good at building relationships. And we also look at those entrepreneurship angles which bring more impact to society. And this is called social entrepreneurship. Ultimately, I would like to leave all of you with certain advice, because all of you are still extremely young and extremely bright, and you are the future of our nation. But unless you take certain steps, you will not be able to exploit that potential. Start taking risks. You can take smaller risks at this stage. Find a mentor. A mentor is really relevant in trying to guide you in your career path. Network, especially women, we don't network. I mean, there are professional networks like LinkedIn, but there are other societies. I mean, right now, most of you are in this Women in Engineering, which is a network by itself. But look at networks even outside of your technical domains, so that it will bring a holistic approach to you. It will bring a lot of general knowledge. It will bring a lot of awareness. Continual learning. Just because you're in college today and then you will graduate tomorrow does not mean that is the end of your learning. Learning is always there lifelong. Today I'm 50 plus and I've actually achieved quite a bit in my own career. But yet last year I thought I should achieve some more. So I joined the Indian School of Business for a doctoral program. And I'm researching the value of women and women empowerment, especially in family-led businesses. Of course, today travel is out of the scenario, but tomorrow in the post-COVID world, ensure that you travel. Travel brings about a lot of experiences that otherwise you don't get. Be positive. I mean, in this world of negativity, the more that you are positive, you are able to negate all the negative emotions that we have. And ultimately, you should be able to create a lasting impact into the society. So before I conclude, I always like to leave a few leadership lessons that I have learned in my own career over the last few years. And this was taught to me by one lady in Tokyo, where I had the opportunity to go and do a program for a week in Tokyo. And we learned a lot about leadership, especially about women leadership. So she taught us the 6 ups, which I love to share with everybody, especially for students, because I feel that if you can articulate these and if you can consciously imbibe these skills, it will help you evolve into a better person, into a better leader tomorrow. And we need these good leaders tomorrow in society. She mentioned about 6 ups of leadership. And the first up is to show up. Showing up is very critical, especially for women like us. And I think today, all of you, I think today we have almost about 80, 90 people who have come for this webinar. While I may not actually give you much value, but the very fact that you have come and listened to me, there may be one single point out of my speech that you might pick up and that you might be able to use it somewhere in your life at some later point in time. So the very fact that you have showed up shows that you are actually preparing yourself for leadership. Showing up is very important. In fact, it is half the battle won. The next up is to speak up. Especially women, we don't speak up. We feel very inhibited. We are conditioned culturally not to say too much. But what happens is when you go into the workplace or when you go into society and when you don't speak up, your perspective never comes to the table. So people will never understand what you feel about that subject. And maybe you can bring some better variety to that subject, to that policy that is being made. So you have to speak up. And I would urge all the women, especially here, to be a little bit more vocal in your thoughts, in the way that you behave, so that your perspective gets noticed by everybody else. The third up is to look up. And looking up here has actually two connotations. One is to look into the bigger picture. Now, today I gave you the bigger picture of what the Indian economy is compared to the world economy. I talked about women's role in the economy and how that responsibility needs to come up from you. Look up at your own careers. Now, where do you want to be there 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years hence, and how you would try to get into that role, and every work that you do today will bring you to that goal closer. Looking up also means to look up at role models. Role models can be everywhere. It can be in your own family. It can be in your own campus. It can be in your own college or your community, or it can be from the other part of the world. Looking up at role models means that you find some attributes, some traits of that role model, and you try to imbibe them. By imbibing them, you start evolving as a person and you get better attributes and better traits. You don't have to copy them completely. Take the best traits and try to utilize those traits to improve your own personality. The fourth up is to team up. Most of you must have heard career advice that in the office, everybody looks for team players. It is really good. In fact, even in campuses everywhere, we look at teams and how the team is actually performing. Because they say that as united we stand and if divided we fall. This holds true in every domain of our life. Tomorrow, when you go into the workspace and you have team working skills in the workplace, try to bring them to your home space too. Try to involve your family members in all the household chores so that tomorrow you don't burn out. Tomorrow you'll get married. Tomorrow you'll have children. But if you only have to do all the household chores or the homework, and you also have to go and perform in your career, you will get burnt out pretty soon. And that's where people start dropping off because the work-life balance doesn't happen. So if you want to ensure a work-life balance, team up with everybody at home, at the office, in society, start delegating the irrelevant work to them, concentrate on the areas that you can add value to, ensure that you continue in your career. The fifth up, and this is very, very, very important for women, especially, and I will reiterate this, please don't give up. Most of you are extremely meritorious. You are very academically bright. Ensure that you bring that value into the workspace. Ensure that you bring on that innovation into the workspace so that tomorrow the world will be better because of your thought processes, because of your value add. If you drop out of the game, then the world will miss out on a value that you can bring to the companies, to the entrepreneurship angle, wherever it is. Please don't give up. If you take break, it is okay, but ensure that you come up. And then the last up, a true leader does not actually create tons of followers. It does not mean that you have million Instagram followers or million Facebook followers or Twitter followers. It means that you actually develop leadership skills in people below you. And that's how you have to lift others up. And with these 6 ups, I felt what that lady in Tokyo taught us, I felt I've been using it all over in my life unconsciously. But ever since she told me, I've been articulating this not only to myself, but to people all around me. And this has helped me evolve both professionally as well as personally. So with this, I will conclude. I would like to thank all of you for listening to me, giving me a patient hearing. I want to wish you all the best for the future. Please understand that tomorrow the nation is in your hands, and the way that you perform, you can definitely bring our country to the topmost in all those indexes that I showed, in the innovation index, in the global gender parity index, in the global GDP index. Everywhere, if India comes on top, it is because of the value add that this generation is bringing to the nation. So I wish you all the best for your future. And I hope to see many, many stalwarts, many, many role models, many, many fantastic women role models and leaders in the days to come from this particular batch of women in engineering from the C.R. Reddy College of Engineering. Thank you very much for inviting me. And I'm happy to take any questions from any of the students. So if anybody has any questions, I think they can ask me, or if it's there in the chat, I can also read the chat and I hope I was not too boring for all of you.
Madam,
Yes.
is there any possibility for the proposal of the MOU with your company? I mean, memorandum of the...
Yeah, but what is it that you're looking for? In that MOU, what would you like to look for?
For women entrepreneurship startups like that.
So we don't do startups, but what we allow is we allow a lot of engineering students, especially the IEEE students and WIE students, to come and spend a day in our company. Of course, now it is COVID, but prior to COVID, a lot of batches used to come and they used to spend 2 or 3 days in the campus to understand because see, we manufacture analytical instruments. And right from pH meters to atomic absorption spectrophotometers, HPLCs and all that. So then we introduce you to our instruments, we take you through our production facility, we have our R&D speak with you. So you can come here and spend a few days or a week or something like that. We can take that in batches.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Is there any questions for student side? Please post in the chat box.
So I think one Mr. Vamsi has said how to select a team for a startup. So what do you exactly mean? What team is it for a startup? If you can clarify. So you want to understand how to select the roles? See, a startup, how does a startup get created? Some person has an idea and then they think about bringing, and if that idea brings a lot of value to society, they team up with like-minded people. See, it might be your own classmates or it might be your friends. 2 or 3 of you might be sitting and brainstorming for a very long time. And the startup process also takes a long time. It doesn't just happen that today I have an idea, tomorrow I put a startup. No, you have you have a lot of iterations. You go through a lot of brainstorming. And then finally, when you look at those people who stood with you throughout, they are interested to be a partner with you. Those are the people who become your team members. And each of them might bring different value to the table. See, one might be a financial expert, one might be an operations expert, one might be able to do administrative related duties. So that all this happens naturally and over the course of time. So I think if there are no questions, then maybe Chandrika, you can go to the conclusion of this program.
Yeah. Is there anybody else? please feel free to ask or else post in the chat box also.
Yeah, so there's somebody else who said that many of us are facing investment problems for our entrepreneurship. So investment problems definitely is the major problem for any person, for any entrepreneur. So you will have to pitch your idea in many of these forums that do angel investing. You have a lot of these platforms where a lot of these venture capitalists and private equity people come. So because the regular banking does not support startup culture. So the more you're able to get involved in these platforms like TIE, and then of course, like in Hyderabad, there is the T Hub and all these places. You have to keep on trying. That is how the goal of an entrepreneur happens. Unless you keep talking to so many networks, so many people, somewhere something will click. And if your idea is really brilliant, somebody will definitely come forward to help you financially. And a lot of this startups start off with their bootstrapping. They request friends, family members to chip in a little bit. They go through crowdfunding sources, and then they try to move forward, because initially you don't need too much investments, just to put your idea. And then also I can speak for Hyderabad. Hyderabad also has these common facilities where you can actually go and prototype your product. Most of the engineering colleges have their own incubation labs. So your engineering college itself also will help you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you is just one word, ma'am, which will not perhaps suffice to express our deep sense of gratitude for the plethora of insightful suggestions and valuable guidance in which we are overwhelming to drench us on this pleasant morning. Thank you once again, ma'am. And now I request feedback form will be provided in the chat box and YouTube chat box also. So please everyone fill the form. Only filled participants have get the certificate only.
Thank you for the opportunity, Chandrika.
Yes, ma'am. Let us make this a lifetime memory. So I request all the students, staff, and guests in this call, please come on to the video. We have a group picture. Yeah, Kirti or Vansi, please take a screenshot. And small request, ma'am. We need make a W shape. Please make a W reflecting women in engineering.
Is that okay?
Yeah, let me make it. Yes, ma'am. Like this. Please, everyone. Yeah, take a screenshot. Kirti, are you done? Thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah, over to Kirti.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your insightful suggestions. Thank you, Chandrika. Now I request Tanuja of 2x4 ECE to propose vote of.
Good afternoon, one and all. I am P. Tanuja of 2x4 ECE. It's a great honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I thank our special chief guest, Miss Dalta Garu, one entrepreneur in industry, I vice chair and the manager director at Elico Limited. I also thank our well-wisher, Dr. T. Venkateswar Rao Garu. I would like to thank and Lavanya Garu, faculty advisor. Especially gratitude to all the other staff present here. I thank all the distinguished invitees present here expecting our invitation. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanuja. Let us conclude the session with national anthem. I request everyone to please stand up at your places.
अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा। विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा। तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे। गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Thank you so much, ma'am, for accepting our invitation.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.